The city stirs beneath a blanket of rain. Streetlights flicker, washing the cracked pavement in hues of amber and gray. Claire Donovan moves through the drizzle. A paper bag pressed against her chest to shield it from the wind. Her mornings are rituals of quiet grace, a rhythm carved from loss and endurance. Ahead, near the rusted bus shelter, the same man waits, hunched beneath layers of worn fabric, his stillness almost statue-like. She kneels, sets the bag beside him, and offers a small, steady smile. He nods without lifting his gaze. The world passes them by, cars hissing through puddles, the whisper of rain against glass. Yet in that small act, time pauses. Neither knows the other's story, but both recognize something familiar in the silence between them. When she walks away, his eyes follow her, and in their depth flickers the ghost of a life once gilded in power and regret. The cafe hums with morning chatter, steam rising from espresso machines and rain tapping softly against the windows. Claire wipes down the counter, her movements methodical, her thoughts elsewhere. Lila chats with customers, laughter spilling like sunlight into the gray morning. Claire glances outside. The corner is empty now, for reasons she can't name. She feels its absence. That space, once filled by a quiet stranger, anchors her day. When she turns back, her reflection in the glass stares through her, the image of someone who gives because she still hopes, even when hope costs more than it returns. That evening, the city drips with neon and rain. Claire walks home with groceries tucked under her arm. The same corner greets her, this time empty. She hesitates, scanning the shadows. For the first time, she wonders where he goes when night swallows the streets. A memory surfaces. Her old office building, the night the lights went dark after her firing, the echo of betrayal. She shivers and quickens her pace, unaware that across the street, a pair of eyes watches from beneath a flickering lamppost. Eyes that once belonged to the man who ended her dreams. Rain hardens overnight. By morning, the city wears a skin of silver. Claire arrives earlier than usual, finding him already waiting, drenched but unmoved. She kneels without hesitation, draping her scarf around his shoulders. He tries to refuse, but she insists. The scarf's warmth meets the coldness of his silence. For a fleeting second, he meets her eyes, and something wordless passes between them, something ancient, fragile, and unnamed. That night, Nathan sits beneath the same awning, clutching the scarf. The city hums around him, buzzes, laughter thunder from a distant storm. He opens the paper bag she left. A sandwich, a thermos of soup, and a folded note. Stay warm tomorrow. His hand trembles as he holds it, remembering the press conferences, the marble offices, the arrogance that once defined him. In the distance, he sees the faint glow of her apartment window and whispers to no one, I remember you. The following week arrives with gentler rain. Claire's days blur into one another. Cafe shifts, long walks home, brief smiles shared across the same gray corner. Yet something feels changed. The man speaks now. A soft thank you that trembles like an echo from somewhere far away. She smiles, unaware that those two words carry the weight of guilt long buried. Across town, in an old library, Detective Marcus Boyd browses through missing persons files. A photo catches his attention. A familiar face, younger, sharper, dressed in wealth and confidence. The resemblance chills him. At the cafe, business slows as the rain thickens into fog. Claire sits by the window, sketching designs into her notebook. A habit she's revived recently. The sound of graphite on paper soothes her. Lila leans over her shoulder, impressed. You should submit these, she says. Claire laughs softly, shaking her head. Yet that night after closing, an anonymous envelope slips under the cafe door. Inside, an invitation to an architecture contest and the exact sketches she had drawn. Nathan watches from across the street as she discovers the envelope the next morning. Through the fogged window, he sees her confusion, the way she frowns, bites her lip, then laughs at the absurdity. He almost smiles, remembering the thrill of helping someone without asking for anything in return. Yet, guilt gnaws deeper. Each small kindness is a thread unraveling his disguise. His fingers tremble as he writes another anonymous letter, the ink blurring under raindrops that sneak through the roof of his shelter. Detective Boyd walks into the local shelter, his old badge tucked into his coat. Volunteers greet him warmly, unaware of the questions burning in his mind. On the bulletin board, a list of residents' names catches his eye. Among them, he freezes. The name feels like a ghost, whispered from another world. Pulling his phone, he scrolls to an archived article. Billionaire Nathan Hale declared missing after corporate collapse. A cold truth begins to take shape beneath the hum of fluorescent lights. That evening, Claire finds a folded note tucked beneath the paper bag she'd left on the corner. It reads, "Thank you for not walking past me." She looks around, but he's gone. Rain falls harder now, drumming against her umbrella. The street feels emptier than usual, as if something unseen is closing in. Across town, Nathan stares at his reflection in a puddle, the city's glow fractured around him. He whispers his own name under his breath for the first time in years, and it sounds foreign, like a confession carried away by the wind. The rain stops for the first time in weeks, leaving the city washed clean but colorless. Claire walks to the corner out of habit, yet finds it empty again. Something unsettles her. Not his absence, but the silence it leaves behind. She heads to the shelter nearby, a building she's passed countless times without stepping inside. Volunteers move quietly through aisles of blankets and cots. She asks about a man who sits near 5th and Madison. The attendant shakes her head gently. "No one by that description lately," she says. Claire lingers, her heart heavy with an unfamiliar worry, a feeling far too deep for a stranger. Nathan wakes in a makeshift tent near the waterfront, the air thick with salt and rust. His cough deepens, echoing inside the thin plastic walls. He unfolds a worn envelope and stares at its contents. A check made out to an architectural foundation, signed only with his initials. He can't mail it yet, but he keeps it close. Redemption, he tells himself, needs to hurt before it heals. As gulls cry overhead, he tears another page from his notebook, beginning a letter he knows he'll never send. "I am sorry for what I took from you." Detective Boyd stands before his cluttered desk, newspaper clippings and photos scattered like puzzle pieces. He circles names, timelines, addresses, connecting a homeless man found near the waterfront to the missing billionaire who vanished years ago. The irony isn't lost on him. Once a man of glass towers, now sleeping in alleys. Boyd exhales deeply, sensing that beneath this story of ruin lies something more human. An unfinished chapter of guilt and grace. He decides to visit the cafe, following the single thread that ties them together. A woman named Claire Donovan. Claire returns home late that night, raincoat heavy with moisture. On her doorstep lies a single white envelope, edges soaked. Inside, her own architectural sketches, perfectly redrawn, refined, and stamped with approval from a firm she once dreamed of joining. Her breath catches. Whoever is helping her isn't random. They know her work intimately, as though they've studied every line she's ever drawn. She stares at the sketches until the ink bleeds from her tears, whispering to the empty air, "Who are you?" Morning brings a muted gray calm. Nathan walks to the shelter, drawn by exhaustion more than need. Inside, he finds Boyd waiting. Their eyes meet. Recognition hits like thunder. The detective doesn't speak right away. "You've been hiding a long time," he finally says. Nathan nods, his voice brittle. I wasn't hiding. I was waiting to feel human again. Boyd studies him, sympathy and judgment warring within. And the woman, Nathan, closes his eyes. She doesn't know who I am. Not yet. The air feels heavier that morning. The kind of silence that follows after something unspoken has ripened too long. Claire walks her usual route, but he isn't there. She hesitates, scanning the street, the empty bench, the paper scraps swirling in the wind. A strange ache forms in her chest, part worry, part confusion. She leaves the bag of food anyway, setting it carefully on the step beside where he usually sits. Just in case, she murmurs. As she walks away, a car splashes through a puddle, scattering her reflection into pieces. Somewhere across town, Nathan sits with Boyd, the weight of his secret pressing harder than ever. In the shelter's back office, Boyd leans forward, voice low. She doesn't know you're Nathan Hale. Nathan stares distant, fixed on the rain streaking down the window. She shouldn't, he says softly. If she did, she'd stop seeing me as a man. Boyd studies him, the once powerful billionaire reduced to trembling humility. You think hiding redeems you. Nathan exhales, eyes glistening. No doubt. But for the first time in my life, someone's kind to me for no reason. Don't take that away yet. At the cafe, Claire works in a distracted rhythm. Her sketches remain untouched, coffee cooling beside her. Lila notices the quiet change and frowns. You're thinking about him again, aren't you? Claire smiles faintly but doesn't deny it. He's just someone I worry about. Lila tilts her head. You can't save everyone. Claire glances toward the fogged window, her voice soft. Maybe not. But maybe some people were never meant to be forgotten. That night, Boyd stands under the shelter's awning, phone pressed to his ear. You can't keep this from her forever, he says firmly. Nathan, standing in the doorway, nods silently. I know, he whispers, but I need one more day. Boyd watches him step out into the rain. The same corner, the same city that once bowed to his empire. Lightning flickers, illuminating his face as he walks away. A man no longer hiding, but bracing for the storm that truth will bring. The next morning, Claire finds him waiting again, drenched and pale, but smiling faintly. She hands him a cup of coffee, trying to mask her relief. You disappeared, she says. Nathan nods. Had somewhere I needed to be. There's a pause, quiet, heavy. He looks up at her, eyes filled with something raw, almost pleading. Claire, he says softly, if I ever hurt someone badly, do you think they could forgive me? She frowns, caught off guard by the question. Depends, she answers. Some wounds take time to believe they deserve healing. His lips part, but he says nothing. The truth trembles on the edge of his tongue, and he swallows it back. The truth begins to move beneath the surface like an approaching tide. Boyd sits in his car across from the cafe, the old photo of Nathan Hale glowing faintly in the dashboard light. Through the window, he watches Claire laughing softly with a customer, unaware of the storm circling her. His conscience gnaws at him. He knows he can't keep this secret any longer. The woman deserves to know who she's feeding every morning. As the rain tapers into mist, Boyd steps out of the car and walks toward the door, each footfall echoing like a verdict. When Boyd approaches Claire, her guard rises instantly. Detective? She asks, puzzled. He lowers his voice. There's something you should know about the man you help on the corner. Her eyes narrow, uncertainty rippling through her calm. He slides the photo across the counter. A younger man in a tailored suit, confident, powerful, arrogant. Claire studies it for a long moment before realization strikes. Her breath catches. That's not possible. Boyd's tone is gentle but firm. His name was Nathan Hale, and I believe he's still alive. Closer than you think. The sky opens as Claire runs through the streets, her umbrella forgotten, rain soaking her hair and clothes. Every step pounds with disbelief and anger. Her mind flashes through memories. The man's silence, his trembling hands, his strange questions about forgiveness. When she reaches the corner, is empty again. The paper bag she brought is gone, replaced by a single folded note weighted beneath a pebble. She unfolds it with shaking hands. I never meant for you to find out like this. She finds him that night beneath the shelter's awning, rain cascading behind him in sheets of silver. He doesn't flinch when she approaches, only looks up slowly, eyes hollow yet calm. Why? She demands. Her voice cracks, echoing under the eaves. You ruined everything I had. My firm, my reputation, my future. And then you let me feed you like some stranger in need. Nathan's voice trembles, but holds steady. I wasn't pretending, Claire. I was starving, not just for food, but for forgiveness. I never expected yours. Her breath shakes, caught between fury and pity. The rain roars around them, drowning what remains unsaid. Claire turns to leave, but stops when she hears his voice again, softer, breaking. Everything I destroyed, I've tried to rebuild in silence. The donations, the letters, the contest entry, they were my apology, the only one I knew how to give. She stares at him, tears blurring the streetlights into halos. For a long time, neither moves. Then she whispers, You can't buy forgiveness, Nathan. He nods, shoulders trembling. I know. I was just hoping I could earn it by starving. Her breath catches. The confession cuts deep. For the first time, she sees not the man who ruined her life, but the one trying to piece his own back together. Days pass without words between them. Claire returns to her routine, but her thoughts orbit the same silent corner where truth had shattered everything. Each morning she still brings a bag, not from habit, but hope. Sometimes she leaves it on the curb without looking. Sometimes she stays, waiting. And sometimes she wonders whether forgiveness is ever truly for the one who receives it, or for the one who gives it away. In the quiet between footsteps and rainfall, she begins to realize that compassion once given never really dies. It only changes form. Nathan lies awake on his cot in the shelter, listening to the rain tapping against the roof. The cough has worsened. Every breath burns like penance. In his trembling hands, he holds her note. Crumpled, unfolded, read too many times. You can't buy forgiveness. The words echo through his chest, both condemnation and salvation. He closes his eyes and whispers a prayer, not for himself, but for her. That she never becomes as broken as he had to be to see the world clearly again. Claire visits the shelter again, this time without pretense. The air smells of coffee and disinfectant, and volunteers move with practiced kindness. When she asks for Nathan, a nurse shakes her head softly. He's been ill, she says. Would you like to see him? Claire hesitates. Every step down the hallway feels like a reckoning. She finds him sitting near a window, his gaze lost in the fog outside. He turns slowly, eyes soft with disbelief. Neither speaks. She just sits beside him, placing her hands quietly in her lap. For the first time, silence feels like understanding. Why did you help me? He asks finally, voice raspy, uncertain. Claire stares out the window, tracing a drop of condensation with her fingertip. Because no one helped me when I fell, she says quietly. He nods, tears gathering in his eyes. You saved me twice, he whispers, once from hunger and once from who I was. The weight of his words hangs in the air. She turns toward him and, for the first time since the truth broke, lets her anger melt into something gentler. Grief, maybe, or grace. Then don't waste it, she replies. That evening, Claire walks home under a light drizzle. For the first time in years, the rain feels cleansing, not cold. She pauses at the corner where they first met, watching the reflection of the cafe lights ripple through puddles. The world feels the same, yet everything inside her has shifted. Somewhere behind her, a church bell tolls, distant and slow. Forgiveness, she realizes, isn't a gift you give once. It's a decision you keep making, even when it hurts. She looks up into the rain and smiles faintly. Her heart lighter, her steps sure. Winter arrives without mercy. The city turns gray and brittle, breath rising in clouds as the air sharpens. Claire keeps visiting the shelter, but Nathan's cot remains empty. Each time she asks, the answer is the same. He hasn't been back. Something inside her clenches tighter with every passing day. She starts leaving meals at the old corner again, though the cold keeps most away. The scarf she once gave him still hangs in the back of her closet, folded neatly, untouched. She holds it sometimes, as though it still carries his unfinished apology. Nathan wanders the frozen streets at night, his cough deepening into a rattle. The cold burns his lungs. Every breath feels like glass. He stops beneath a flickering streetlight, clutching a letter close to his chest, the one meant for Claire. Inside are the words he'd never said aloud, his confession and final wish. Snow falls heavier, clinging to his coat. For a moment, he looks up at the sky, lips moving in silent gratitude for the coffee, the scarf, and the kindness he never earned. Then he keeps walking, slower now, toward the shelter's faint glow in the distance. When Claire receives the call, the world goes silent. They found him at dawn. They tell her, on the church steps near the waterfront, his body still, a letter in his hand. The words blur as she listens. Later, she sits in the empty cafe long after closing, the city outside a blur of white and shadow. She unfolds the letter carefully, her fingers trembling. The ink is smeared, but legible. You gave me back what I took from you, your kindness. I'm sorry it took losing everything to understand what that means. Her tears fall onto the page, turning the words into rivers of forgiveness. Weeks later, the city begins to thaw. Claire stands before a newly restored building downtown, the Hale House Foundation. The plaque gleams in morning light, engraved with both their names. Inside, volunteers unpack boxes, laughter echoing through the hallways. She donated Nathan's remaining funds to build it, a shelter, a place for second chances. As she walks through the door, sunlight pours across her face. In the hum of activity, she feels something lift from her chest, as if his spirit lingers not in regret, but in every heartbeat of the home they built from loss. That evening, as twilight descends, Claire walks to the old corner one last time. Snow has melted into glistening puddles, reflecting the soft blue of the sky. She sits on the bench where he once sat and places a cup of coffee beside her. The air is still. Somewhere, a church bell chimes, slow and gentle. She closes her eyes, whispering, "You were forgiven long before you asked." When she looks up, the city glows, lights flickering like candles in the rain, and for the first time, she feels the quiet peace of closure.